So we're going to start by just getting a quick overview of the different formulas that we have learned so far. And you're going to tell me everything you can about each one of them. So nice and quick, let's start with the first one. What formula is this? I'm going to do it in the cloud because when I do straight lines, things go weird. The blue one, good, simple. This is our simple interest formula. There is one particular situation that is used that they don't tell us what type of interest it is. We have to know what type of interest it is if they use that word or two words. Does anyone remember what that is? They can say straight line interest. I'll put that in here. It's not the one that I'm looking for. As a hint, it's as something that we use if we want to buy something that we can't afford. And then we have a deal going with the store. Good, they put us on a contract. Hire purchase, Lulani, yes. Okay, so if they use the word hire purchase in the story or in the question, we have to know that hire purchase is simple interest. That's something we have to know. Okay, cool. What is the fancy new thing with the ends that we've been doing in grade 11? That was different from grade 10. Okay. Yeah, we can definitely chat about that. If we're talking about, thank you, Yanda. N is not always years. So in grade 10, it's always years. In now is how many times interest is added in that year. Okay. And now, since nominal and effective interest rate was brought up, who can tell me which is which? Let's see if anyone remembers. They're both going to use compound. Good. Effective is the same time frame. So as an example, if we said 15% per annum compounded yearly. This is per annum, so that's in a year, and yearly is a year. If we're looking at nominal, we could say something like 15% per annum compounded monthly or quarterly or whatever we like. But here's a month and that's a year. So they're different. So nominal is if we are, now time frames are not the same, and effective is if they are the same. If we are wanting to compare our nominal and our effective interest rate, what is the easiest thing for us to do with P and with N? Good. Make them one. So the easiest thing for us to do is invest R1 for 1 year. And then it's very easy for us to compare. Okay, cool. I like it. Let's jump into our next one. Next, we have A is equal to P, or 1 plus I to the power of N. Tell me things about this formula. Oh no, losing pens is horrific. Like if you have a good pen, hold on to it. Good, it's compound interest. What's the thing here? So like in simple interest, we had hire purchase that we had to know was simple interest. What's the thing that comes up in compound interest that we have to just know is compound? Inflation. Good. Good. What's inflation useful for us in terms of financial maths? When would we use inflation? When we're trying to figure out what? Nothing in the chat yet? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how much something will be in number of years or the rate of increased prices. So the cost of something in the future. Exactly. Okay, cool. Like it. Then the two formulas that we brought up exactly back in my day, the two formulas we did on Tuesday. The first one, what is that one telling us? Good. It's depreciation. And we call it the straight line basis. And the reason we say that is because it is similar to our simple interest, except instead of the plus sign, we have a minus sign. Because so Uyanda, depreciation is when something loses value over time. So if you buy a car, for example, it's going to lose value from the moment you step into that car. And when we're using the depreciation formula, we're saying, well, what is the value of this going, like how much is it going to depreciate? What will it be worth in 3 years if it's depreciating in value? So it will be less. So when we're talking about depreciation, the important thing is that our A is always going to be less than our P. I know. We're having a quick accounting lesson. But it's our last one. And then we have our last formula up here, which is what? Good. It's also depreciation, but on a reducing balance. Okay. Question, which is maybe a PTSD question after the question we did on Tuesday, but which one of those formulas will never allow us to get to zero? So what won't ever let our item reach a value of 0? Good. In a reducing balance situation, the item can never reach 0. Okay, cool. This is quite a good summary. If you want to take a screenshot, it might be worth your time. And then we're going to dive into some questions. We're literally going to tackle a question of each of these and some timeline questions. And yeah, we're going to see where we get to. For those of you who just arrived, hello! Last lesson of financial maths. Make sure you have your calculators with you. Okay, cool. Let's go. First question, and I'm not going to help at all with these. This is entirely up to you. 210,000 Rand is invested in a pension fund. The total in the pension fund after 10 years is 385,000. Calculate the interest rate if the interest is compounded annually. Give you some time. When you have your answers, pop them in the chat for me. No, man, you're going to be fine with timelines. We just got to draw them out, and once we've drawn them, we're fine. Okay, we have our first answer in the chat. Keep them coming. Let's see if we agree or if we disagree. Oh, all on the same plane. Seems good. Okay, 1 more minute. And if you're feeling rushed, please let me know. Don't want you to be feeling stressed. But I'm seeing some good answers. Okay, so we're going to write up our little grocery list on the side. APIN. We know 210 is invested, so that's our P value. And after 10 years, it's being compounded annually, so N is 10. We don't know our interest, but we know our A is 385,000. And it is being compounded, which tells us our formula. So A is equal to P, 1 plus I to the power of N. And we're just going to put in our values from our little grocery list. And you can do this all in one step. So you can do the manipulation in one step if you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, just remember to keep as many decimal places as you can. And then we're going to root that to the 10th. And that's going to be equal to 1 plus I. So we're going to minus 1 from this side. And that gives us I. So I is equal to 0,0625, which means as a percentage, it is 6,25%. Yay! Now, the bad news is that this is considered a very easy question in financial math. So this would be maximum 2 marks for this dude. One for knowing the correct formula and putting in the correct substitutions, and one for your answer. Why am I getting an ellipses, Boo? Two, yes, indeed. But it's because it is an easy question if you think about it. Because you didn't have to really do any thinking. You just put it into a formula. And all of the stuff was there for you. Think about how quickly you got the answer. That's how it's because it's a nice, easy question. Okay. Take a screenshot if you'd like. We're going to move on to the next one. Okay. 512,000 Rand is invested in a pension fund account. The total in the pension fund after a certain number of years is 798,500 Rand. If interest was 15.5% per annum, simple interest, how many years did the money get invested for? What am I looking for? Which letter in our formula? Cool. Cool. You know what I'm looking for? You have all the information you need. This is another 2-mark question. That's not the answer. That's just telling me what I'm looking for. Now you know that we're looking for N. Now find N. Did you think I was going to make your life that easy? I'm giving you nice, easy questions here, but not like that. That would be crazy. Oh, okay. I'm keen to see what your answer is. Okay, so we're going with 3 years and 1.5 months. Let's see. Let's see if everyone agrees. Okay, we seem to be in agreement so far. Let's see. Okay, let me know if anyone needs more time. If anyone needs 1 or 2 minutes, please put it in the chat so that I do. Okay, I see yes. Okay. Is the yes is that I agree, or yes that you need more time? Oh, okay, cool. Okay, let's try. Let's see. Let's make our little grocery list. A, P, I, N. And we know we're using simple interest. So A is 798,500. P is 512,000. Interest is 15.5%. So let's pop that into our formula. 798,500 equals 512. 1 plus 15.5% times n, which we don't know. So let's see, 798,500 divided by 512. Let's write this all out. 798,500 divided by, and then we are going to minus 1, and we're going to divide all of it by 15.5%. Okay. And we get n is equal to 3,6101, blah, 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 blah. So they asked for how many years did the money get invested for? What answers could we give? Like, we've got various options here because they haven't said what years and months. They haven't been that specific. They've just said how many years was the money invested for. What are our options of the answers that we could give if this is what we're looking at? It can't be 3 years, because if I stopped at 3 years, I wouldn't get enough money. Yeah. So yeah, we could either say, we've got lots of different options here. We could say, because they weren't specific, we could say 3,6 years and then round it to 4 years. That's option 1. Option 2 would be to try and figure out what our months would be in that situation. So we're looking at 0,6 times 12, because there's 12 months in a year, and that gives us 7,2. So we could say option number 2 is 3 years and 7,2 months. Or 7 months. I would say, because they haven't been specific about the months, that I would settle for this answer and not like stress your head out too much about it. But really good answers that came through the chat. I really liked how you stretched yourselves to get to the months. That was great. But yeah, we're going to round it, but we're going to round it up, because if we round it down, we're actually not going to have made that amount of money. Screenshot away, and we can get into our next question. And remember, if you have questions along the way or things that you're not understanding, please ask. That is what I am here for. Okay, cool. Let's go. Carl buys a computer at a cost of 18,000 Rand. Calculate its book value after 3 years if the depreciation is 16% per annum on a straight line basis. Another easy 2-mark question. Would we be happy with that if we got that? Would we be sad? How would we feel if we were Carl? Oh, we have one answer which is slightly different. Let's have a look. So we're working with a straight line basis, which means we are going to be working with A is equal to P1 minus I times N. Okay, and let's have a look what our information is. We know it's 3 years. We know our interest rate is 16%. We know that it started at 18,000 and we want to figure out what our A is. So we're literally just going to put that into our calculator exactly like that. So you shouldn't even get 2 marks for this question. You really should just get 1 mark, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm going to be kind and I'm going to give you 2, but this is really a 1-mark question. And your final answer is 9,360 Rand. Are you yoing me for giving you 1 mark? You didn't even have to move things to the other side of the equal sign. You can't argue with me that this is a 1-mark question. How did it take a lot of brain cells? Lies. Lies, Theo. Okay. Next one. Lulu buys a TV at a cost of 12,000 Rand. Calculate its book value after 3 years if the depreciation is 12% per annum on a reducing balance. I think this might be the last of the very easy questions, so enjoy it. Lots of confirmation here. I like it. Theo, I appreciated that 3rd decimal place just for clarity, but remember in money, always 2 decimal places. to write it out. So reducing balance means we are going to use our A equals P1 minus I to the power of N. A, we don't know. P is 12,000. I is 12% and N is 3. So again, we are just going to pop it into our formula. Oh, I have got an extra 0 there. That is a very expensive TV. Do you think TVs can cost that? I suppose they can. Those like really big TVs. What's like the most expensive a TV can cost? I would like to know. Like probably like one of those celebrities has one which is like got diamonds encrusted all around it, and it's like worth multiple millions of dollars or something stupid like that. It's just a waste of money. Celebrities drive me bonkers. Okay, let's go. Leander, we could get one with fake diamonds. We don't need to be spending millions of dollars on that, though. That feels like a waste. Yes, maybe when Sia becomes like a famous rugby player, we can all ask him to buy us diamond encrusted TVs. $2.5 million. What a waste of money. That's 50 million rand. For television. I can't deal with that. That's ridiculous. That person needs to think about their life choices. That is how I feel about that. No, that's just no. Okay. Now that I'm shook. Okay. 26,000 Rand is loaned from Standard Bank. And interest was 14% per annum compounded monthly for the first 4 years. And then it changed to 11.5% compounded quarterly. What was the balance of the loan after 12 years? Super nice, easy timeline question to just slowly get into timelines. I can't tell you, Abu. This is our revision day. I mean, I can tell you, but I'll tell you when I go over the question. Like, well, let's see if people agree with you or if they don't agree with you. And then we'll know. Okay, I'm just going to start drawing the timeline. I'm not going to put the answers up. I'm not rushing. Just in case there's anyone who's feeling completely lost. I don't want you to be sitting there being like, I don't even know how to start. Okay. So that's what our timeline would look like. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to follow the journey of our 26,000 and see what happens to it. Okay, starting to get some similar answers coming in. Why would I judge you? I'd never judge you. Okay, I'm going to give you guys 2 more minutes. If you need more than 2, let me know, but I think everyone will be fine with 2. Okay, I'm waiting. Okay. Okay. But that, if I don't have any objections, I'm going to start doing it. So to answer your question, Abu, in this one, no, we absolutely do not add. And the reason we don't add is because we don't have any deposits that are coming in and we don't have any withdrawals where we would have minuses. If we have added money, so like we're depositing money at some point in the timeline, then we're going to have a plus. But if we don't need a plus. So all we're doing is we're working out the journey of this 26,000. So the first thing is that our 26,000 is in there with the 14% compounded monthly, and this is happening for 4 years, and the interest is being compounded monthly, so it's going to be 4 times 12. And then straight after that, it goes in for another 8 years at this interest rate. So 1 plus 11.5% compounded quarterly for 8 years. So we're going to say 4 times 8. Now, for this one, there are very specific marks that you would get. So you would get a mark just for the general setting out of everything, and you would get a mark for the 4 times 12 and a mark for the 4 times 8. So just for that one line, you're going to get 3 marks, which is quite nice. Isn't that nice? And then our final answer is going to be, you're absolutely right, 112,379 and 12 cents. And that one would be your last mark. So that would be a 4-mark question. Yeah, not so bad. We're getting better. Good. Okay. Take a screenshot if you would like. Oh, look at this spicy question. Do you love a spicy question? I'm going to highlight a few things here as we talk through it. 8,600 Rand is deposited into a savings account. 2 years later, another 3,400 is added to the savings. A final deposit of 3,700 is made 5 years after the initial deposit. 3 years after the initial deposit, 2,500 Rand was withdrawn. The interest rate for the first 3 years is 13% compounded quarterly, and then it is decreased to 11.2% compounded monthly. Calculate how much will be in the account after 8 years. I promise, as soon as you get this all on your timeline, it is way less scary than it looks. Break it down, put it into your timeline. As soon as it's in your timeline, it looks way less scary, I promise. I know it's an intimidating question. Can I start putting it on the timeline? Or not yet? I don't want to rush you. I'm not going to start doing the question. Okay. I'm just going to start putting that information onto the timeline. That's all I'm doing so far. Okay, so your timeline should look something like that. And if it does look something like that, then you are on a very, very good start. Okay, good. Tebogo, I'm taking that as a good sign. We're getting some answers coming in. Are your calculators all going wild? I'm sure they are. I know Abu's probably trying to put the whole thing in one line. Let's see if it works. It's a big question, but it would be worth a lot of marks. It would be worth at least 6 marks. You did it one-liner? Oh my gosh, I am actually shocked. Indeed. The miracles of maths. Okay, how many more minutes do you need? Let me know. Oh, we're getting different answers. I love it when we get different answers. I never judge. I was meaning you're getting different answers in the group. That's a good thing. It means you're doing the work. Okay, 2 more minutes. So at 5:30, I'm going to go through this one. Let's see. I didn't get the same answer as any of you. Now I'm questioning my life choices. Okay, well, let's see if what we wrote down is the same, and we can go from there. Okay. So I'm just going to move this down a little bit. So I'm going to sort of do one thing at a time. So I'm going to start with the 8,600 Rand. So my A is 8,600 Rand, 1 plus 13% over 4. And its interest rate for 3 years is at this. So that's going to be 3 times 4 up here. And then its interest rate changes for the next 5 years. So then its interest rate goes to, and that's going to be 5 times 8, which is going to give us 40. That is correct, hey? Now I'm questioning everything. Let me write it as 5 times 8 for the moment. Okay, let's start there. Who got to that point? Just that first part, which is tracking the 8,600. Okay, I'm seeing a thumbs up. That is positive. Excellent. Okay, then we're going to track the 3,400. So we're going to add it. So we're going to add 3,400, which is going to be at this interest rate, but only for 1 year. And then at the next interest rate, again, for 5 times 8. Okay, again, who got to that point? So who got red and who got orange? Okay, so Damala, you got red. What happened with orange? Then we track the withdrawal. So now we're going to minus 2,500. It doesn't go into the first interest rate at all. So it's only going to be in the second interest rate. And it is in there for the whole time. So it's going to be in there for 5 times 8. And then we have one last one to do, which is our 3,700. This dude over here. So we're going to add our 3,700, and it's going to be at this interest rate for 3 years. So that's going to be 36. Oh, no, it shouldn't be 8. Sorry. It should be times 12. I definitely did do times 12 in my calculator, though. This was just a silly writing situation. No, Uyanda, because I'm losing my mind. No, you were right. I think I saw the T8 and my brain just stuck on the 8. You know when that sometimes happens. Okay, so let's break this down step by step. Who, like, that's step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. How many of those 4 steps did you get? 1, 2, 3, or 4 of all 4 steps? That's the first thing I'm interested in. Okay. Khulani and Tidimalo and Theo, do you see how to get the other ones now, or is it still feeling confusing? Okay. That is a good thing. Because my answer was very different to all of yours. I'm just going to pop it into my calculator again, because now I don't trust myself at all. Okay, so the red, got the red. Okay, Uyanda, can you tell me where you're feeling in the dark so that I can help? What's feeling completely overwhelming or all over the place? The orange. Okay. We can chat about the orange. So what's happening in the orange, let me put this down, is we are following this 3,400. We're following its journey. So for 1 year, it's at this interest rate. Okay, because that's from year 2 to year 3. So that's when it's at the first interest rate. And then it's at the second interest rate for 5 more years. So this 5 times 12 is the 5 years that it's being compounded monthly. And this 4 is because it's being compounded quarterly, but it's only in there for 1 year. So we're tracking what is happening to that orange. Okay, so we have to include the withdrawals because the withdrawals would have, okay, this sounds really weird. I do know this. But even though we're withdrawing the money, if we hadn't withdrawn the money, it would have gained interest over time. So if we don't think about what that amount of interest it would have gotten over time when we're taking it out, we're actually not taking out the proper amount when we take out that withdrawal. So basically, we're tracking the lifespan of each thing as it happens. So we're tracking the lifespan of our 8,600 for the whole journey. Then we're tracking the lifespan of the 3,400. The lifespan of the 2,500 is just this. And then the lifespan of 3,700 is just that. I know, our time is disappearing. Okay, let me carry on popping this in quickly and see what we get. Okay. Minus yellow. Plus green. And that gives us a total of, I'm going to write it down. This is what I get. Are you ready? 2, 9, 5, 9, 3, 5, 0, 8, which means 29593,51. I think, Abu, I think you got that. And did anyone else get close there? And that is how we work out these super, super mean timeline questions. 1 decimal off. I would have given you a mark for just that 1 decimal. The good news is this is literally as mean as a timeline question can get, because we're doing a withdrawal, we're doing a deposit, and we're doing an interest change. So they can't get harder than this. It's ticking off all 3 boxes. Okay, in our last, do you want to take a, let me zoom out so you can take a screenshot with the question. In our last 5 minutes, we're going to quickly look at this question. This one's much easier than the previous one. Because of our time, I'm going to help by drawing the timeline for you, but I'll talk through it with you. So 120,000 Rand was invested in the bond market, and it was invested for 5 years. So we know our timeline is 5 years, and we know we've invested 120,000. The interest rate was fixed at 15.25% quarterly for the first 3 years. So up to times 3, our interest rate is 15.25%, and it is being compounded quarterly. Then it changes to 10.75% until the end. So now it's 10.75% compounded monthly. One withdrawal of 55,000 Rand was made after 36 months. 36 months is when? How many years is 36 months? 3 years. Good. So at the 3-year point, we have taken out 55,000 Rand. Calculate how much money there is. So this one is not nearly as nasty as the last one. There's 2 journeys you have to follow. You have to follow the journey of your 120, which is this. So it deals with both of those interest rates. And then you have to follow the journey of the 55,000 that you're taking out, and it's only got the 1 interest rate. So you've got 3 minutes to try and get this done. Let's see how it goes. see if we can get it together in the time we have left. Uyanda, I get that exact same answer. So our journey of 120 is the 15.25% compounded quarterly, and that's for 3 years. So it's going to be to the power of 12. And then at our next interest rate, compounded monthly, and that's for 2 years. So that's going to be to the power of 24. And then we're going to subtract 55,000. 1 plus 10.75% compounded monthly again for 24. And I got the answer of 164,754,14. Well, 138.